Elio guys, and welcome back to another episode of Infinite Magicraid, and in today's video we have not only the review, but the spotlight for Vidar. Now a little bit of lore here. So on my beta account I had Wim, and I went through the whole entire game in terms of campaign with Wim, and still use him today, but I was like, I've already built Wim once, why would I build him again when I already know that he's super good? So I decided to build Vidar for my global account here, and his performance has been, well, like I don't really have that many complaints about him. Now he is a little bit different than Wim, but this is what the video is for, so we can kind of go into detail about that here. So here's my Vidar. We can see his lovely HP stat, and then also his defense stat, and also his speed is pretty chunky too. And I will throw up here a screenshot of my Wim on my beta account. And basically their stats are very similar, except for my Wim also has a lot higher defense than Vedar, which can obviously come from subs. So first let's take a look at his skills, then we'll go through his equipment, there's emblems, there's aura, we can talk about his exclusive a little bit, then I'll do my best to kind of show him off and show that, you know, depending on the situation or your team composition, Vedar could be a good pick for you. I'm not saying that he replaces Wim, but he could definitely be a good pick. So let's go ahead and take a look at these skills. So first skill right here, deals X amount of defense damage to a single enemy, and then there's a low chance to stun. Not super reliable, but when it works, it just brings like a smile to my face. His second skill right here is an AoE with a low % chance to inflict stun, but if you do have his exclusive weapon unlocked, it does also add in the effect resistance by 25% for 2 turns once this move is about to proc. So what happens here is that the enemy gets their effect resistance reduced before this can stick, so hopefully stun will stick, or if you're running other units that do debuffs like burn, bleed, HP burning, etc., that's really going to help everyone else on the squad, because this is an AoE move, which I absolutely adore for Vidar. And then moving on to his passive right here, he gains extra effect hit if he attacks targets with lower HP percentages than his own. So having higher HP on Vidar is obviously very necessary, and it also gains 30% extra shield effect when he grants shield on allies with lower HP than his own. This shouldn't be a problem at all in terms of effect hit, depending on what content that you're doing, especially in a PvP situation. And then for the shield, unless you have like another Wim or super tanky unit on your team, once again, this passive is perfectly fine. But at exclusive level 2, we can see that he also gains some more effect hit on that stun, which is awesome. And then we can see exclusive level 3 that he can also restore partial amounts of his HP when he successfully inflicts stun. So that's great if stun sticks. But overall, the main point of this is the added effect shield and also the effect hit in this situation, which you should have no problems activating for him. So nothing to worry about in regards to that. And then for his ultimate skill, Darkness Shroud, grants a shield to all allies by 16% of his max HP, and then also Consolidation 1. Now this is the big twist compared to Wim, because I believe Wim's shield is 40% of his max HP, which is double potency of this shield, and then he has a separate move for consolidation. I believe he goes up to consolidation 2, which is absolutely huge. That means in terms of raw damage mitigation here, Wim is definitely going to be the bigger pick. But in that situation or that scenario, depending on what content that you're doing, if you need a raw shield, that's great. But if you need a shielder slash, you know, a unit that can do a couple of different things, which we'll get into, then Vidar may be the pick for you. But let's slide over here to the equipment real quick, and I'll show you guys what he's rocking. Now this really isn't top tier stuff. I don't mind the speed stuff on him, but I do want to get rid of that very crappy like basic HP gear on him. If the game would bless me with some good forge action. But we can see right here his lovely stat distribution. Going through the gear very quickly, nothing too spicy up here other than the HP and the speed roll, because this is a feather set, and also the HP set, so he gets speed and HP, which is what your Wim, which is what your Vidar, and hopefully your Maguire should be rocking too if you built any 3 of those units. This one right here, very garbage subs, which is why he's losing out on defense and possible HP. This one right here has decent effect hit up there, and there's a little bit of HP rate, and crit rate isn't necessary. I'm not really worried about him doing damage, because his main selling point is stunning, surviving, and helping the squad do damage, not him in himself. And then over here for his accessory, there's some effect hit up there. Other than that, very garbage subs, but I mean, you got to work with what you have here. Moving on to his artifacts though, there's an HP on the first slot, some defense rate, some effect hit, mastery doesn't really matter, crit rate, so garbage rolls. The second one is some more HP with a decent amount of HP rate up there. I'm cool with that. And then on the last slot, we do have speed, because once again, no matter how much HP that you have, if I can't go first and get my shield going on my squad, then they're going to be RIP. And, you know, what good is that going to do me if Vidar is the only one surviving? That's what I thought. But this lovely artifact right here has some effect hit. There's some HP up there too. And yeah, nothing really super fancy, but his stat distribution so far is okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's spectacular, but does it get the job done? Absolutely. Let's slide over here to his emblems though real quick, and I'll show you guys what he's rocking right here. Very basic setup. It basically is what Whim should be having, minus maybe 1 or 2 skills right here. But the main selling point right here is boosting up his HP and defense for survivability, because we have those lovely shields, making sure his shield is boosted up as much as possible, damage mitigation, and then of course more HP at the very end right here. And then for his aura right here, I do have the range hit aura, which, you know, for every X amount of enemies up there, his effect hit gets boosted up to. And the main selling point of this is once again that lovely HP and defense rate, which just adds into survivability for him of getting that effect hit boosted up. Now there's also the, I believe it's the HP recovery aura, which we don't need that for him killing someone. But if you want to like reduce the crit damage he can take, that could also work as well. And then the other one where if you cast a skill and he like can heal himself would be a great skill to have on him as well, if I can find it here. Yeah, it would be extra recovery aura, where if he casts a skill, he can kind of heal himself, which can also help with damage mitigation. If not, if you want to go for like the pure effect hit one, that's perfectly fine too. More effect hit is always nice, but I rather go for survivability over trying to pray to the gods that his stun is going to stick. But anyways, I've already covered his exclusives, so let's go ahead and slide right over here to the spotlight and show what the lovely Vidar can actually do. Alright, let's go and get this party started here. We gotta go ahead and have Ascendo come out here and do her lovely business. Kind of disable these guys, which is super helpful. And now you notice that after Ascendo went, because she has her exclusive level 1, which obviously boosts up her turn meter, Vidar's turn is next. This is what you want regardless if you're using Whim, Maguire, Vidar, whoever else does shields. You want them to be acting first. That way, before these lovely guys over here can attack, I can go ahead and get the shield up on the squad, which is exactly what we're going to do. Now keep in mind, since that move is also paired up with Consolidation 1, I understand why the devs kind of made both of them weaker, because it wouldn't make any sense if Whim had those separate and his moves were weaker, because he's casting 2 different moves, albeit he can cast it, you know, during the same turn here. But since they're 2 separate skill slots, it makes sense as to why Whim's is more potent than Vidar, who serves a slightly different purpose than him in my opinion. But let's go ahead and get some lovely action from Nid. And alright, this is the second skill right here, which is an AoE. Let's see if we can get that effect resistance to go ahead and proc for us. So if you see that right there, not only did Whim get hit with effect resistance, but everyone on the field got hit with that. Oakman got stunned, Space got stunned, and then also Sana got stunned. This is great. So not only did that move lower the effect resistance of the enemy team, which is thus going to allow my bleeders to hopefully get their bleeds to kind of stick more, but I've also disabled some of these guys. I have no problems with this whatsoever. Then alright, we're gonna go ahead and proc this once again. We'll get the shield boosted up on him, and this is the exact same scenario too in terms of like the campaign mode, in which I try and make sure that my shielder can get his shield up as soon as possible. But the added, you know, stun actually comes in quite handy, I would say, for sure. Sana's about to pass away anyways. We'll get her out of here. Let's see if we can get that effect resistive proc once again. Absolutely love it. So both of these guys got stunned just like that. I mean, I told you guys he's different than Whim, but you can obviously see right here, he does have some merit depending on the situation. I'm not saying that he's better than Whim. I'm saying though, depending on your team composition, like I think this team composition in general kind of works as well, because Ascendo does debuffs with her silence, Elena and both Nid also do the lovely bleed, so having that lovely effect resistance paired up with the stun and shield of Vidar makes him very versatile in terms of having debuff units that kind of rely on not only effect hit, but also the effect resistance of the enemy being as low as possible, which Whim got stunned again, dude. Look at that. That is some smiley face gaming, you guys. Alright, let's see if we can set up kind of a similar scenario here, which I know you guys are like, well, I don't have Ascendo, so that makes Ascendo work with pretty much everything in the game. And, you know, to be honest, I understand, but we got that lovely effect resistance down on everyone. We do have some lovely stuns too. 3 out of 5 units have been stunned, which I am totally okay with. Now, if I had another like more reliant bleed unit that could get stacks up fast like Natalie, though I'll talk about Natalie in a different video, this would be lovely of having like another character with an AoE, either come out and like drop down raw damage like Margarita, or another unit that can do AoE damage in terms of debuffs, which I've already talked about before, but we're going to let it rain on them. We got some lovely bleed up there, but not too much. And then Elena kind of takes one turn to get her bleed action going up because she has to cast that buff on herself, but you know, we won't talk about that. And bam, yeah, I would show Vidar off in the campaign, but the whole mechanics behind him is the exact same. You want the shield going up, you want his lovely secondary skill, which is the AoE, with the effect, resistance, and stun going up, because not only can that provide, you know, some debuff properties for your squad to get their debuffs to stick easier, but also the added crowd control when it does work, which at this scenario in terms of PvP seems to happen fairly often. It's just not something that I would personally rely on, but that is the Vedar review / spotlight, you guys. I think he's a great unit. I would definitely keep using him. And in terms of like campaign, like if you're curious to see how far he has got me here, well, since I already have you with the video, I'll show you guys where I'm at in the campaign in terms of using Vidar. Like if you were ever curious, this is where I'm at. So I'm over here on Hell, and I'm stuck at the lovely stage 10 whatever, because I do have Ascendo, but she's only A2 at this point in time. But this entire squad has made it thus far. I definitely think we can go higher. It's just I need to get Ascendo up first, maybe tweak Vidar a little bit, and definitely continue to tweak Nid and Elena as well, and then we should be well on our way. So if you're wondering, okay, I do have Vidar versus Wim, could either of those work in a campaign? So far, Vidar has brought me this far. I think that is enough in itself to say that Vidar is definitely a viable unit. Now, there's 2 more stages left in terms of, you know, chapter 11 and then chapter 12, or stage 11 and stage 12, but we will find out then. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on more Infinite Magicraid action, and yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.
Infinite Magicraid. Play to slay.